Okay, ooh, I didn't even I should have taken out my books. I'm so unprepared, guys. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, ignore my ashy knees. I know they're ashy, but that's none of your business. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you are new, if you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marina and today I'm back with another end of the year video. This one is going to be book related and it's one of the ones I've been anticipating the most yet also putting off the most. I'm going to be making a 23 books I want to read in 2023. All of the books I want to read. Making this list took forever because I did not realize how many books I have not read this year and how many books are coming out next year that I do want to read. So that's what this list is going to be compiled of. If you watched my last year video about the books that I want to read in 2022, it's going to be like that one again. Whether they're old books that I just didn't get to this year or new releases that I really want to read. Who knows if I'm really going to read them. I'm not going to take this list too seriously. But yeah, don't hold me to this list. This is all in good fun. But I do really want to read every single book on this list. But yeah, let's just get started. So the first book is one that I've been hearing about forever. I feel like since it came out, and it came out this year, so it's been like months. I really want to read Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I actually started this book this month, but then it got lost in the sauce somehow and I completely forgot to finish it, and I was holding it at the library so I had to return it. But I want to read this book next year and commit my full time and devotion to it. I also want a physical copy because I love the cover. It's about this girl and she's in college, so that's what instantly got me hooked. I was like, oh, college setting? Say less. She runs like this radio station podcast thing where she gives the women on her campus advice, not just like relationship advice, but like just advice in general about how to be better person in every single way, whether it be like job related, relationship related, better person to themselves, just that kind of thing. I think one of her academic advisor was like, you need to like pertain to a certain audience for your podcast in order to qualify for this internship that I really think you'd be good for. She gets help from this guy on campus, and the guy that she has to work with for this thing that she's doing with her podcast radio station thing, he's the guy that has every girl kind of like floundering on campus. Like he has these girls running circles around him, and so she's kind of just like iffy about it. And that's all I really know. That's kind of where I stopped. I don't know why I stopped there. I don't know, something about that premise. I was like, oh, you've got me hooked. I'm pretty sure it's a romance, but even if it's just like a general fiction book, then I'm fine with that too. I really want to finish it. I got like 10% into it and then I just stopped. Okay, the next book I'm talking about is one that I mentioned in my last year video when I did this, because I thought it was coming out this year, but I guess that's a lie. I think it's coming out next year, but I don't know. Some people are saying it's coming out in 2024. I really have no idea when this book is coming out, but I really want to read A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. If you guys don't know who this author is, she wrote the We Hunt the Flame duology. That's a pretty popular YA duology. I don't think this is YA though. I think that this book is going to be just adult fantasy, I'm pretty sure. Only thing I know about it is that like it's somewhat of a heist book, but it's like about these people that are running a tea room all the way back in like the 1920s or like a few decades ago. And the one thing about this tea room is that it's a whole entire front. Like this tea room is just for vampires who need to feed in secret, because obviously vampires are not allowed in the society. So that's what the tea room is for, and these people are trying to protect it, and for some reason they have to go on a heist. I'm pretty sure that's kind of like it. That's all I know. I haven't gotten any updates about this book since the last time I talked about it, which was exactly last year. So I have no idea when it's coming out. I thought it came out this year, but yet there's still nothing. Like there's not even like a cover for it yet, so I don't know. Someone tell me, because I would like to read it. Next book that I want to read is for a series that's coming to an end. I'm so sad. The last book comes out next year. Heartstopper. Now you guys know this has kind of like been the main character of my channel for the past year. I love this series so much. I bring it up in a lot of videos. The last volume, volume 5, comes out next year and I'm so sad for it to end, but I'm so excited to read it because after the way that volume 4 ended, like I need my faves to come back to me. These are my comfort characters, as some of you guys know, so I just need the next volume to come back to me like I need these characters to come back to me. I need to read the next volume immediately. I also know that the next season of the show comes out at some point, like in the beginning of 2023. Like, I don't know when, but like in the first half of 2023 is when the show comes out. So by that point, I actually want to read all of the books in the Alice Oseman verse. This is like 6 books in one, so like I'm not gonna count all these 6 books in the list, but they take up a slot for sure. I want to get through these books next year so bad. I've had these on my shelves for the past few months. I got all of these for my birthday. I just haven't read them yet because I want to read them when I'm studying abroad next semester, because I'm going to be studying abroad in England. And so I feel like me reading these books over there is gonna make it feel more real for me, because if you guys don't know, the Heartstopper books take place in England. Not really its distinct city in England, but I do want to read these when I go abroad. It's actually been a goal of mine to get through all of Alice Oseman's books, preferably before the 5th volume of Heartstopper comes out, but I'm not really gonna rush that process. I want to take my time with those books. Next book I want to read is another one that I brought up in last year's video, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I said that I wanted to read this. I didn't, but I have a feeling I'm probably gonna get through it at the beginning of the year next year. I'm gonna be on a lot of planes next year, so I feel like when's a better time to like read a book this thick and hefty when you're on a plane with nothing else to do, you know? Like, I think that's the plan, so don't hold me to that again. But like, I feel like next year is the year when I'm actually gonna get through this beast and start the Wheel of Time series, because I wanted to. I liked the show a lot, and I hear that the 2nd season of the show is almost wrapped up or already wrapped up. So I just want to like start the books, if not finish them all. That's a stretch. They're like 15 books, but I at least want to start the series just so I can say that I did it. Next book that I want to read is a new release by Francesca Flores, and it is The Witch and the Vampire. I saw the cover and I saw like the hands, and I was like, okay, you have me where you want me. I kind of looked into what it's about, but not really. So from what I got, it's like 2 rivals on the run. 2 rivals on the run, and one is a witch and one is a vampire. I don't know what they're on the run from, but they are on the run from something. They run into each other. I don't know why they hate each other. I have no idea. But from what I got, it's like an enemies to lovers sapphic YA romance / fantasy, and that's all I needed. That's all I really needed. I don't need any more details. Say less. There hasn't been any like YA fantasy that like caught my attention this year in terms of releases, besides like the obvious being like Blood Marked, duh, but I didn't really find any YA fantasy or just YA in general like interesting for me this year. So I really hope that changes with this, because there's so much you could do with like a story like this. And I've never read any books by Francesca Flores. I don't even know if she has any other books, but she might just have me with this alone. The next few books I'm going to be talking about are books all by the same author. I should have gotten into at least one of these books this year, and I didn't, and one of them was in last year's video as well, but that's besides the point. I want to read Babel by R.F. Kuang, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and then her new release next year, which is Yellowface. I need to get into R.F. Kuang. I've been meaning to. I didn't. I don't know what's wrong with me. I've heard nothing but amazing things about her writing, specifically Babel. Like, that's kind of the book of the year, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. Like, every single person I've seen or heard talk about this book, they only like give it praise. For The Poppy War, I said this last year, I wanted to start that series. I wanted to get to it before Babel came out. That didn't happen. And then Yellowface. Yellowface, I didn't even know that she was releasing something new next year until I looked into Babel, but apparently she's releasing a fiction. It's about like these 2 writers. One of them is white, one of them is Asian, I think, and the white author, she's struggling. Like, she does not know what to write about. Like, she's trying to get to a certain demographic that the Asian author has, where it's like diverse demographic that is into like her type of stories, but the white author just can't write those kinds of things. But then one day the Asian author dies, and somehow, some way, the white author gets a hold of her last book, like her last draft of her final book that she would ever write. And so she's like, I'm just gonna like tweak this up a little bit and pretend like it's my story. And so the whole entire book, I'm pretty sure, is told in like the white person's perspective. And I just feel like this premise is gonna be so funny. Like, I don't know why, but something like when I saw that, I was like, why is R.F. Kuang kind of a genius? I'm into it. I don't know. But I really do want to get into all of R.F. Kuang's books. If not all of these, then at least just one. Just one of these. Another book that I mentioned in last year's video that I never got to, Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I don't know why I never got to read these books this year. Like, I don't know. These were books that I really wanted to read this year simply because they're short and I knew that I'd be able to get through them very quickly if I really wanted to. So I've made it a mission in my head. Last year at the end of the year, I was like, you have to read these books, especially because I've only heard good things about these books as well, and then I never actually read them. So I'm kind of just like, what's stopping you next year, Marina? Who knows? But I'm gonna try. It's the first book in the series. I think it's like the Wayward Children series or something like that. From what I hear, they're very wholesome and cute and short, and the series is over, so it's not like I have to wait for any more books. Like, there's no reason why I should be holding off on this. From what I remember about it, it's like about this foster care system, and every single book is about each of these kids' stories. And it's kind of like portal fantasy. So whatever the kid is going through in their real life, they enter like a portal fantasy world that helps them out with like their real life struggles or something like that. And each of these kids are like, I think, fictional creatures. Like, I'm pretty sure Jack and Jill are one of the like kids in the foster care system. And yeah, I just think it would be cute and wholesome to read about. And like I said, I've only heard good things about it. So yeah, that's something that I really want to read next year. Another book that I wanted to read this year but didn't, The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport. I don't know what this book is about. I just saw the cover. I see this cover all the time and I'm just like, what the hell, Marina? Why don't you just read it? I don't know. Everyone's saying that like it's up there in terms of like fantasy in general, but especially like Black girl fantasy. Like, people put The Blood Trials up there with like Bloodmarked and Legendborn. Like, it's that serious. And I want to read it, especially before the sequel comes out, because I'm pretty sure it's a duology. So once that sequel comes out, it's done. So I want to be a part of the hype when the sequel comes out. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Like I said, I don't know what it's about, but I'm hoping that I'll like it. I'm sure I'll like it. The next book I want to talk about is one that I mentioned earlier this year that I wanted to read, and then I never got to it, sadly. The sequel to Orange, the complete collection. So I read this earlier this year and I loved it. I love the characters. I love the story. Pretty sure this was my first manga ever. And yeah, this was just really, really good. And I want to read the rest of the volumes in the complete collection, but this year just wasn't my year for getting to anything that I wanted to read. But especially like this, I really want to like finish the rest of the Orange series, because I know that people consider it a classic and I wanted to know why, and I get it, but I've only read the first one and I want to read the rest of the books in the series. I want to get into more manga, so if you guys have any other manga recommendations, let me know. Next book that I want to read is A Dowry of Blood by T.E. Gibson. Now, you guys probably don't know this, but I love vampires. I don't know, could you not tell? I don't know. I have a thing for vampire books. I love a good vampire book, and I feel like we've lost that art. But it's slowly been coming back. And I've been hearing about the T.E. Gibson book, like A Dowry of Blood, for years. I have been hearing about this book everywhere, and I just want to get into it. All I know about it is that it's about the polyamorous relationship between Dracula and his wives that he turned into vampires over centuries of time, and their perspectives about the very abusive, toxic relationship with him. And I kind of want it. I kind of need to read that. This is a book that I hear nothing but praise about as well. A lot of people love this book, say that it's one of their favorite like gothic fiction or even fantasy, because they're vampires, like some of their favorite like gothic literature in a while. And I don't think I've ever read gothic literature in my life. I'm willing to try it out because this sounds interesting. Next book I read is a part of a series that I started this year and absolutely adored, the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. The third book comes out next year called The Final Author, and it is going to be the last book in the series. It's about the brother that I've been interested about, because each of these books is about a specific brother. This book, I'm so excited about. And she like dropped the cover of the book like I think a month ago, and I'm so excited. The cover gives literally nothing away, but when I finally got to see the cover, I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, it's happening. Dreamland Billionaire series, it's basically about these three brothers who inherited this kind of Disneyland-esque amusement park after their grandfather died, but their grandfather said in order for them to get their part in it, they have to follow like these 3 rules. Each brother gets like one specific thing that they have to do, and it involves the love interests in the books that they have, and it's really good. I specifically enjoyed the second book in the series because Black girl lead, so good. And yeah, the third book is about the brother that I've been interested in the most because he's nothing like the other brothers. Like the other 2 books were more like Grumpy Sunshine, and the boys were obviously the grumpy ones, but the third brother isn't. Like he's actually like really positive and happy and like happy-go-lucky vibes, and I just want to know more about him. The way that she's been setting up his book specifically, I'm just like, what the hell's gonna happen? Yeah, The Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I'm very excited about that. Can't wait to read it. Next book I want to read is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. This book has been on my shelves for a while as well, and I want to get into it. I want to read it, but there hasn't been a really good time in the year when I was like, let me get sad for a second, because that's what this book is. From what I know, it's like really sad. So I was like, I'm just gonna put this off, but I own it mainly because like it's gorgeous. Like, hello, look at that cover, it's stunning. I own it, so I want to read it at some point, and I think that point in time is gonna be next year. Like I look at this cover and I'm just like, you're so pretty and I want to read you, but I'm scared of what's inside of you. From what I know, it's about these 2 people that are in a relationship. The guy and the girl are so in love, they love each other so much, but the guy ends up dying, and the girl is grieving, she's sad, depressed, and then she gets a call one day from the guy, and he's just like, hey, what's up? And like he's gonna help her grieve him so she can get over him, but obviously like it's not gonna go well, but I'm very excited to see where it goes. I just haven't had that type of vibe this year to actually read something like that, you know? Next book I want to read is King of Wrath by Anna Huang. Now, you guys know I like Anna Huang. If you've watched any of my book videos this year, I brought up the Twisted series. I read all of the books in that series, and then as soon as she announced that she was finishing like the last book of the series, she said that she was releasing this new one, which is a kind of companion series, like a series with the characters that we saw in previous books from the Twisted series, but they're finally getting their own series. So that's what this series is, King of Wrath. Yay. I enjoyed the Twisted series enough to want to read the rest of whatever Anna Huang puts out. I think that the Twisted series got better as each book was made, but these characters specifically that are in this book that we saw in the previous series, I want to know more about them and their relationship and their romance, and I think I'm gonna really like it. It came out this year, and she just announced literally I scrolled on Instagram earlier and she announced that the next 2 books in that series are gonna be out next year. Like, that girl works. Like, good for you. I'm gonna read King of Wrath though before the next 2 come out, just so I can like actually stay on top of a series for once. I'm gonna try and we'll see. Next book I want to read is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Kennedy Ryan is an author that I've heard great things about. Like, people say that her books are so good. Check trigger warnings about her books beforehand, but people keep saying that she makes like some of the best romance books ever. So I'm just like, why am I sitting here in the unknown when I could be reading something that has everyone hyped? Kennedy Ryan is like one of those authors that like you need to know someone who knows about her in order to like know of her. Like, she's not like a coho type of romance author where everyone knows. It's kind of like a niche part of romance, and I just find that so interesting. So I want to read this. This is her latest release, and from what I know, it's about these 2 people. They used to be married, they got divorced, they have kids, and it's just about their relationship throughout the years, the ups and downs of how they love each other, but they just know that they can't work. Like, they just won't. And, you know, with the added factor of them having kids, like, they really have to make sure that they balance out their relationship well enough to where it works for everyone, not just them, but for their kids also. And even though they know that they're not good for each other, they always end up going back to each other. That's what I got from the synopsis when I read the synopsis for it like a few months ago. I want to read it because, for one, the cover is stunning, and two, I want to start, like, I want to be on the Kennedy Ryan train. Like, I feel so left out. The next book that I want to read is by an author that I have mixed feelings about, but not because they did anything bad. It's just because the previous book I read from them wasn't really my favorite. I want to read Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. Now, you guys know I read the Atlas 6 earlier this year. I think that was like one of the first books I read this year. And although I love the characters, I liked the premise a lot, the way that Olivia Blake writes just isn't for me. But Alone with You in the Ether, I think, is a romance. And I this might be weird, but I do think I would like her writing style more in romance than I would in like a fantasy setting, which is what the Atlas 6 is about. It's like more of a fantasy setting than anything else. I wanted to give it a try. You know, I'm not one to just put off all of an author's works just because I didn't like one of their books, depending on some stuff. But for the most part, Olivia Blake, like, I want to give her books a chance. I hear that like people like this one a lot, and I think that's interesting because I think she's only ever written the Atlas 6 and like maybe a few fictions, but I've never heard of any of her romances before until this one, and I think this is her only romance. So yeah, I'm excited. I want to read it. Okay, so the next few books are ones that I mentioned in last year's video. You see there's a pattern here. So yeah, this isn't gonna be anything new. I'm not gonna explain this. The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan, the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series. Why have I not read this? I don't know. I don't know. You guys know I love Percy Jackson, like, hello, right here, like, hello. But I just haven't been able to start Heroes of Olympus yet. And my thing is, with the Percy Jackson show coming out like sometime next year, I want to get through at least most of the Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus universe books or whatever. I want to get through those before the show comes out just so I can be in the know. But I don't know why I haven't started it. I don't know. But I really do want to read this, if not the whole series, then at least the first book. Like, I don't know why I haven't at least tried to read the first book yet, but I'm gonna do that. And then the next two books are from the same author, Leigh Bardugo, King of Scars and The Demon in the Wood. Shadow and Bone comes back next year, and I've been seeing like teaser pictures on set and of the cast and like stills from the show for season 2, and I'm just like, damn, like looking at that reminded me that I need to read these books. These were both on my like videos last year. There's no reason why I shouldn't have read them. I never got around to it, and it makes me upset, but I'm gonna try to get back into it. I like the whole entire Grisha-verse thing that Leigh Bardugo has. Like, it's a good escape from reality. Not all of the books in the Grisha-verse are good, but the few that are good enough for me to like stick around, you know? So I want to read King of Scars because that's Nikolai's book, and I love Nikolai with like everything in me. I love that man. And then The Demon in the Wood is all about the Darkling, and I find the Darkling so interesting. You guys know this. The way that the show portrays him is another story, but the book version of the Darkling I find so interesting, and the fact that the graphic novel came out for it this year about his backstory and everything, I have to read that. Okay, hi, it's a little later. I ate and I feel a lot better. Also, if you hear music, I'm sorry, but I feel like I've mentioned this so many times before. I can't control the music, so you're gonna just have to deal with it, okay? But I'm almost done, so you won't have to deal with it for long. The second to last book that I'm gonna be mentioning in this video is Tomi by Junji Ito. I bought this book, I think it was either the beginning of this year or the end of last year, and I still have not read it. I would like to read a Junji Ito book. I've heard nothing but great things about this author and the stories that he tells. I can't talk. I don't know anything about this book, but whenever I crack it open, I get goosebumps. The illustrations are so freaking creepy that I'm kind of just like, maybe I do need to read this. I don't know. I probably won't get to it anytime soon because I'm just not in the mood for it. I thought I'd read it during spooky season, but I barely read anything during October, so we'll just have to give it a try next year. And then the next book I read is one that recently came out, We Deserve Monuments by Jazz Haymans. I have the arc for this. As you can see, I got the arc for a while ago and then I never actually read it, and now the book is out and I feel so undeserving of reading the published copy because I've literally sat with this arc for months and just haven't cracked it open. But I really want to read this book. I don't know what it's about. All I heard is that it's a black lead and sapphic romance. Literally, that's all you need to say to me. If you like, I'm not really the type of person it takes a lot to convince to read a book. Just tell me like a few things. Sapphic, black. Yeah, I'm gonna read it. I've had, like I said, I've had this arc forever, so I might just read the arc first and then get the published copy, because from what I heard, this book is really, really good. I just am late as per usual, but I do want to read this. I also really like the cover. I think the cover is stunning. I don't know who did the artwork for it, but they kind of ate, in my opinion. Yeah, those are all the books I want to read in 2023. Like I said, don't hold me to this list. I'm gonna try to get through at least most of these. I don't think I got through most of last year's list, and I hate that. But I also was trying to do this thing where I didn't buy as many books, and I think because of that, I didn't read much. I've been on a book buying ban all year, so like, and I prefer reading physically, depending on the genre of the book. But yeah, for the most part, I just haven't read because I don't have the physical copy in my hand. But next year, I might just have to change that, okay? Like, the book buying ban is coming to an end as of 2023 because I miss reading physical copies. I'm so sick of reading ebook versions of stuff. If you guys enjoyed this video, thank you. If you would like to follow me on my social media to talk about books, here's my Twitter. I mostly interact with you guys on Twitter, but if you like to follow me on all my other social medias, they will be linked in the description below. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.